Hey folks, I am Kevin Iole, and it is my great pleasure right now to be joined, thanks to Mrs. Elaine Atlas, the great trainer, the Hall of Famer, Teddy Atlas. How are you, Teddy?
Good. And what you mean by that is my wife figured out how to do this damn Skype thing. But
Elaine is our technical consultant here.
yes, she is.
Thank you, Elaine. We appreciate you. Teddy, first of all, I want to give you a plug. You're doing a podcast every Monday that's coming out. Tell me about that. How long you been doing your podcast? What's the name of it? Where can people find it?
Yeah, thank you. It's the name of it is The Fight with Teddy Atlas. It's on YouTube and all the iTunes mediums channels. Can't believe I know how to say that. I'm not too sophisticated in the social media world of technology, as we just proved that my wife had to set this up. But somebody got me a good man talked me into doing it about a year ago, and we're doing very good. Like I said, it's on YouTube. We got over 9 million views, so it's doing real well. It's become. I'm grateful to the people out there that have made it popular, and actually care about what the hell I have to say.
Well, you cover important topics, and as anybody who's known you over a lifetime of covering and talking about fights, you don't hold back your opinion. So that's why I think people like to listen to what you have to say.
And nobody can fire me on this thing, which is good, for not holding back my opinion.
That has happened once or twice before, but we'll keep this all good
No,
news today.
well, put it this way: I've been blessed. I haven't really been fired, but nobody can reprimand me or curtail me or edit me, which is a good thing, I think, and a bad thing for some people, maybe.
The first thing I want to start with is just asking you about the state of boxing today. I wrote this a little while ago, and I said, and I don't want to overstate it, but I thought we were in somewhat of a golden age of boxing. I think we have more good fighters than we've had in a long time. I was really worried, Teddy, for the future of this sport, where the sport was going. But I look now at some of the young fighters that are out there, the good talents that we have, and I'm encouraged that, there's an upswing. How do you see that?
We got the same problem we have periodically in boxing, which I agree with you. The talent is there. We have a good amount of talented fighters out there. There's no doubt about it. There's been eras where there's been more talent. I think there's been plenty of eras where there's been more heavyweight talent. You go back to when there was guys like Riddick Bowe, and not that far back. Still staying in a recent era, not too far off neighborhood, if you will. Um, you had Lennox Lewis and Riddick Bowe, and you had Holyfield, and you had Tyson. I mean, those were obviously pretty damn talented fighters. And so now you look at it maybe as a little bit of a downgrade um, in the heavyweight division, but then again, you make up for it in other ways. You have a surprise. It's kind of like when you used to go to the baseball game with your dad, if you were fortunate enough to go with your dad, and you got what was that? What was the name of that with the what the heck was it? Where your caramel popcorn?
Oh,
Uh,
Cracker Jack.
oh my God! How can you watch a baseball game without Cracker Jacks and a hot dog? So yeah, and you got a little surprise in there, and I think the surprise of the talent has been not as consistent in this particular moment in the heavyweights. Where you have gotten the surprise is with the personality and the promotional skills and the shocking performances by Fury. It's gotten everybody's attention. It's kind of like a Rocky movie coming out where it gets everybody buzzing, something to talk about. It might not last forever. It might not give you everything you need to solve the problems of the world in boxing, but what does anyway? But at least it gives you exuberance. It gives you a shot of adrenaline. And then, of course, you had a guy named Wilder who I was saying when it was less popular to say that he couldn't fight. And, took a lot of people jumping on me for that. It's okay, no problem. But he couldn't fight, but he could punch, and he could punch, and he could punch. And then finally, he ran into a guy Fury who figured it out. and didn't allow that one ingredient, that one tremendous ability to be enough. So you have this time that's kind of fun, and then you got the upset, like a Rocky movie again, where you had Ruiz come along and upset the guy that everybody thought was the Adonis. He looked like the Adonis. He was a gold medalist. He put 90,000 fannies in his seats over in Wembley across the pond with our brothers and sisters and great fight fans over there. You know, he did that. He being Joshua, obviously, is who I'm talking about. And then what happens? Rocky moment. He gets knocked off his throne. Then Rocky 2, he comes back and gets his title. So you have that fun going on, but it doesn't replace the talent of the times I just talked about when you had
No.
Bo, Holyfield, and and Lennox and all those guys. But I think the one thing that is really always the most important ingredient. I mean, you go back to the 80s. I think in the modern era, that was the healthiest time. First of all, you had network television. That helps. Free TV helps. Everybody got to be familiar with who the fighters were because of that. You were on Wild World of Sports or NBC or CBS Saturday and Sunday, and you had talent. You had as much talent as you're ever going to have. You had light heavyweight talent with Matthew Saad Muhammad and Yaki Lopez and Jerry the Bull Martin and Kwawi and all those guys. And then you had the magnificent welterweight talent. Oh my God! Wow.
What a division.
Oh, forget about it. You had Sugar Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns. Hal Hearns made welterweight. I don't know. Don't ask me. Just incredible with his size. And you had Roberto Duran. And you had Pernell Whitaker. And you had Aaron Pryor in the lighter class coming up.
Benitez.
Yeah, I mean Benitez. Oh, I actually had the privilege of training him. I shouldn't have been, but I was 21 years old. I was with Custom Model. Next thing you know, you're training Wilfred Benitez for the Palomino fight in Puerto Rico outdoors. But you had all that talent, and you had free television. Okay, but here's the kicker. Here it is, Kevin. This is the one that's better than today. And when it is good today, it's because of this. That they fought each other. It's not enough just to have the talent.
You got
It's
to
not
fight.
enough. It's like having peanut butter without the jelly. You can't do that. You gotta have the jelly to really enjoy a peanut butter sandwich. So it's the same thing. You have to fight each other. And we don't do that today. We don't do it enough. When we do it, we celebrate it. And it's usually 5 years too late
Yeah.
or something else gets screwed up. But back in those days, that's why the 80s, that's why I'm talking about the 80s. That's why we remember. That's why there's a smile on your face when I talk about the 80s, because you had great talent. You could see it. It was available. You didn't pay $400,000 to see it or $100 to see it. But the most important thing, they fought each other. The best was in with the best.
Well, Teddy, I agree with you, and I've written that a million times, and I've urged promoters to make fights. I've criticized promoters. I've gotten a lot of people angry at me for what I've said over the years.
Good. Welcome to the club.
But here's the thing that I want to bring up to you. I did a story today, and we're recording this on March 31st, which is the 47th anniversary of Ali losing to Ken Norton. And I was looking at Ali's record. He fights 5 times in 73. Then he goes to 74 and he fights he fights Joe Frazier and George Foreman in the same year. And then he goes to 75 and he comes back and he fights Frazier. I mean, it was not only was he active, so when you had the best guy in the sport, not only fighting the other best, but then he was active in between, fighting Joe Bugner and fighting these guys. That the sport can't help but be healthy. Imagine what we would have if Canelo Alvarez and Manny Pacquiao were fighting 5 times a year now.
Yeah, there's no consistency. You just described it very well. And there's no consistency in the sport. You only have the top guys fighting. You have them fighting because they want to make sure that they pull in their paycheck. So obviously they got to fight. The promoter needs to get paid. They need to get paid. They deserve to get paid. So they're going to fight. But being that they're making so much money, the top guys at least, they don't. There's no urgency to fight too much. And the problem again is that they have the ability with the networks to pick their spots because everyone wants an undefeated fighter.
Right.
Everybody wants something that's shiny. Everyone wants that shiny apple. You hand an apple to the teacher, all right. But if it's a shiny apple, teacher probably says thank you. And that's they want a shiny record. Everyone wants that shiny freaking record, and so therefore they can avoid fighting the best guys. So even when you get 4 or 5 fights, which is rare nowadays with the names, you're not getting the top guys because nobody wants to risk their guy if they don't have to. Because if they don't have to, if it's not forced on them from an economic standpoint, where hey, you ain't gonna get paid if you don't fight the best guys. If there's not some incentive to make them fight the best guys, they're not gonna for a couple of reasons. One, they're not gonna risk it, and number two, the other guy that you want to see him fight, who's the best fight, might not be and probably is not signed up with them. He's across the street, signed up with another promoter.
Right.
That's the problem. They want to make sure that they control everything. So back in the days of Don King, well, he knew how to do it. It was called options. It was called options. He got people to sign options. Otherwise, in other words, he owned you. He controlled you. Well, now we don't always use the word options. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. But if you're not with a promoter, if he doesn't control you, if he doesn't have you under his banner, you're not getting the fight with the best guy unless you sign an option, unless somehow he can control your career or he can get involved in your career. So you might have, and everybody's connected to a network. So you might have Aaron with ESPN, and you say, "Oh wow, I'd love to see his guy. I'd love to see Crawford, who I think is the number two or one, either way, whatever you want to call it. I got Lomachenko number one, but one or two Lomachenko Crawford, I have no problem. Right up there. Depends what kind of ice cream you like: chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, sprinkles. It's all ice cream. It's all good, but you got Crawford, and so you say, "Oh, I want to see him fight Spence." Wow, what a
That's the
match!
fight.
I can. He's with a guy named Heyman over there with Fox, and and ESPN is over there with Crawford and Aram. Oh, you can't make the fight. Oh, so it don't matter what I want. It's what they want. It's what they want. It's what makes money for them.
Well, let's
And
believe
what
we're in a make believe world here and that Spence and Crawford could fight. How do you see that fight going?
All right, we gotta have a good imagination here now because because of what I just said. We it's going to be difficult. It's not going to happen. But okay, hey, listen, I will qualify that before I answer your question. It happens. The stars line up, Mars with Jupiter, and all kinds of crazy things in the galaxy. It does happen once in a while, like Pacquiao and Mayweather. But only when it's such an exorbitant amount of money that the promoters can't say no. They can't. They can't. It's too much money. Um, and when it does, it's usually too late. That fight was too late. But the fans wanted it, and unfortunately, they weren't satisfied, and it hurt the business for a while because a lot of people had the attitude: before I pay $100 again for the fight of the century, uh, I'm I'm gonna think twice. You fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you. Shame on me, shame on you. But you fool me twice, shame on me. So, it really damaged the business because it didn't turn out to be what the people thought it would be, what they were told it would be. But let's get to Spence and what you're talking about, what I mentioned. Spence, Spence
Crawford.
and Crawford. They would be at their best now. There is an X factor though. There's a possible banana peel waiting to slip on, and that's the fact that maybe it's not the best where they're at their best anymore because Spence, after that car accident, he hasn't come back yet. We don't know if he's going to be the same. But let's pretend we he didn't have a car accident and he did have it, but we know he's going to be the same. I don't know if he's going to be the same mentally or physically. I really don't. But if he was going to be the same, and he can fight Crawford now, that would be a terrific matchup because you have contrasting styles mentally and physically. You got a guy in Crawford who's moved up in weight. You wonder if he's too small. He doesn't look like he's too small with what he's fought so far. In the welterweights, he's handled himself. He's carried his power. Obviously, he's carried his confidence. And so you got Crawford who controls range. He's got good length with his arms. He's got good physical skills in all departments. Uh, he'll look to control range in that fight, I would think. But he also knows how to fight inside if he has to. He knows how to behave like a fighter, like Sugar Ray Leonard did when he fought Tommy Hearns. We knew he was the golden boy. We knew he was the flash. We knew he had the sizzle. We knew he had all that. But could he behave like a fighter? Could he behave like a fighter? And yes, yes, yes. He was a bulldog. He was a pit bulldog when he had to. He got nasty when he had to get nasty. He didn't want to lose. So he combined that with talent, with neon talent. And that's what we want. We don't want just somebody that has God given talent. We want somebody that shows us they could dig down.
They make you go, wow.
Yes, they could dig down and say, wow, I got to appreciate this guy. Yeah, he was given more talent than me. But you know what? He deserves it. He deserves it because look what how he behaved. Look what he just went through. Look what he overcame. That's not about physical talent. That's about what you want to do and what you make yourself do. And everybody can relate to that. And that's what's great about boxing. So you got Crawford, where he's in there controlling range, I would think, in this fight with Spence. He's in there with a bigger guy, supposedly a stronger guy, right? We figured
Supposedly.
right? We supposedly. He's in there, and he's going to control range, control the outside, look to set traps, look to time him coming in, look to make him pay a price. Like I used to say on ESPN when I was calling the fight to ringside, I would say, you got to make this guy pay for real estate. You got to start charging him, $20 for a square foot. You got to charge him 3 punches for a square foot that he's trying to come in on you, and charge him for that real estate. And that's the kind of fight and fight plan and mindset you would have to have, I would think, if you're Crawford, to keep him on the outside, keep Spence there, make him pay for real estate, make him pay for mistakes, make him make mistakes. And then on the other side, what do you got? Well, you got Crawford, a strong guy, but a guy he's got the amateur pedigree, he's got the experience, he was an Olympian. So he knows how to fight. It's not just that he's a seek and destroy guy. He's not just a relentless guy. He's not just a pressure guy. He's a guy that knows how to do things, knows how to think in there. He showed that in Mikey Garcia. Yeah, he pressed the fight, but he also outfought Mikey Garcia, and in a lot of areas, that's the better fighter from a technical standpoint in a lot of ways.
Right.
So here you got. Well, I get excited thinking about it. So here you got Crawford. You got Spence. He's going to look to come inside, but he knows how to do it. He knows how to. He's like that great janitor in the building with that big key ring where he's got 100 keys on it.
And he knows which one opens every door.
He knows every key for every door. Exactly. That's why you're a great writer. Exactly. And he goes and he knows how to find the key. He's not just going to bust in the door. He's going to press. He's going to be the aggressor, but he's going to try to get the key to do it the right way. So he's a good body puncher. So he's going to try to go to the body of the smaller man. Nothing better to do to take advantage of being a bigger guy than to go to the body of the smaller guy. So he's going to look to put pressure on. He's going to look to go to the body. He's going to look to get inside into his wheelhouse where he can be more effective. His arms aren't quite as long, I don't believe, as Crawford. So he'll look to get a little closer. He'll look to do all the. So you got you got Ali Frazier, baby. You got the one guy on the outside. You got the other guy trying to get in. Oh, you got the throw in Manila or wherever they put the fight. Maybe you got a remake of that. And here's the whipped cream on top. This is where it starts to get very interesting. The mental part. It's always about the mental part. Always.
Yes,
always.
And that's where Crawford is really strong.
Yes. And again, you're proven to me, at least, your mettle for understanding boxing. For me, what makes Crawford, all the things I said, makes him special. He's long. He knows how to fight outside. He can fight inside. He's got good skill sets. All that. All that. He's a winner. He believes all that. But he's got great instincts. He is one of the most instinctual fighters I have ever seen. He has I did a special with him a couple of years ago for ESPN. It played on ESPN. It's out there somewhere on that place called Google. You ever hear that place?
I've heard of it before.
Yeah.
I haven't worked for them yet. That's one of the few places.
So it's out there somewhere. So anyway, we sat down in the gym, actually in a warehouse. We put a ring in there, and I broke down his formative fights. I broke down his early career, how he got to where he got to, and what he did, what he was really doing in the ring versus what you just saw the results, but how he was getting the results. So I broke it down, and we were going over a thing with Gamboa. He was fighting Gamboa. Gamboa had been a real talented fighter, world champion, undefeated. He was an Olympic gold medalist from that great, great, great national Olympic team in Cuba. And he had tremendous speed, maybe even more pure speed than Crawford, probably, really fast. And he was, he was just a real talented fighter.
Just not always committed to his training.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. You're right. And here he is fighting Crawford. It's going to be maybe a little bit of a test for Crawford. And it turned out it was. He hurt Crawford in the fight, even though Crawford wound up stopping him. But what he did, there was one moment, there was one series of punches where I forget what round it was, but I'm telling you, Kevin, 1 minute he's fighting, and that's another X factor for Crawford, is that he can go lefty and righty probably better than any fight I've ever seen.
Right.
And I'll say it again. That's a big statement for me. Probably better than any fight I've ever seen. I mean, this guy was like Mickey Mantle in baseball. I mean, he could hit from either side of the plate for average and for power and not lose really anything, lefty or righty. So here he is. 1 minute he's fighting orthodox, and all of a sudden, in the midst of it, he gets caught a punch, and he realizes, even though he's hurt, even though he's buzzed for that moment, innately, instinctively, not all fighters have that. Not all people have that, no matter what they develop in other ways. And all of a sudden, in the midst of backing up as he's being attacked, he's got the wherewithal. He's got the wherewithal to switch to southpaw because he knows from that position he's less likely to get caught with the punch that he just got caught with. And what he's going to do is now have available a punch that wasn't available from the stance that he had been in 20 seconds earlier. And he switches so he can catch him with a punch, and he catches him with a punch. And there was 2 instances during the course of that day we spent together where he did that. There was another instance in the round where it was very similar. 1 minute he's orthodox or southpaw. I might have it reversed. It doesn't matter. And all of a sudden, he switches to the other stance. In the middle of stepping back, he throws, as he's making a miss, he throws a counter, switches back to southpaw, and throws a counter from the other side, knowing from that position that he would be able to catch him with a punch you wouldn't see coming. And I'm looking at it, and I'm saying, oh, my.
Pretty high-level stuff.
And I say to myself, wait a minute, I know what to ask him. I know a question to make this thing work. I stopped the tape. I said, hey, do you know what you just did there? And he looked at the tape, he looked at me, and he said, no. I said, so you don't even know you did that? He goes, no, first time I saw it. And I said, there it is. There it is. There's the element that not everyone has. That special, instinctive, innate ability to do what Customato, my mentor, who I thought was the best boxing guy ever, but he's one of the best, no matter who you like, or who you favor. But he once told me, Teddy, the great ones, there's not a lot of them, but the special ones, they make it up as they do it. They make it up as they do it. They, like
Think
Jimi
about
Hendrix,
that.
like Jimi Hendrix playing the guitar. I mean, he's playing it. He's making the crap up. He's making this stuff up, and it's beautiful. And he's making it up as he does. Or Louis Armstrong. I love Louis Armstrong, but on the horn. And
hey, baby.
Yeah, oh, it's a beautiful world. And he's, and he's hitting tunes that nobody else can hit. And he's just making it up. He feels it. He feels it. He sees it. He hears it. And this is what I saw. And I recognized it. And it took me back to Cuss. And I said, wow. And like I said, I know I'm repeating myself, but I turned to him and I said, do you know what you were doing here? He said, no, first time. No. I said, wow, that's you. You're that guy. You're that guy. And that's at first I always thought Spence would win that fight. And I did.
That's
And
the
then
moment to change
today,
your mind.
I did. Yeah, I did. I said, you know what? I can't not take this into I can't take this into consideration now that I know it. I
Before we
can't.
let's wrap this up because you've given me a ton of time and I don't want to take advantage of you. I could talk to you all day. I want to ask you one last thing. Canelo Alvarez, what do you make of him? I think he's a fabulous fighter, what he's doing. And I love the fact that he's challenging himself, moving up and down in these weight classes. What's your take quickly on Canelo? And where, when you said Lomachenko or Crawford, one or two, where does Canelo fit into that
Number
equation?
three, baby. Number three, right there. There you are again, my man. You're good. You're good. Like De Niro said in that movie, you're good. You're good. You. Yeah. No. Listen, I got him there, number three. And people could argue whatever they want. It's very subjective. This stuff about rating fighters pound for pound. It's tough, you know.
It's just
Uh,
fun.
Yeah, but it's fun, and it's like I said earlier. I think it's the fair way to say it, actually, Kevin. It's like ice cream. It's all good. You know, yeah. Some you like it with chocolate syrup. Some you like it with strawberry topping. Some you like with whipped cream. But either way, it's ice cream. It's ice cream, and they're all good. Um, Listen, here's the thing about Canelo for me. Here's a here's a kid that turned pro when he was 16, because you could do that in Mexico. You could turn pro that young, and he's fighting. He's got all these fights now, and he's developing. He's got, and here's a guy, and I'm going to throw him out there, Triple G, who, you know, at the time was making all this money on HBO. Uh, and HBO's not around no more. But he's making all this money on HBO. He's building a reputation, maybe a legend even. But he's building his reputation. He's building his bank account. He's in the middleweight division. Everybody's saying how great he is and everything else. And I got all the haters throwing harpoons at me. When I had Triple G in my pound for pound, no doubt about it. How could I not? No doubt. But when I removed him from the list or dropped him in the list at one point, people were like, "How the hell can you do that, Teddy? You're supposed to know something about boxing. How the hell can you?" I said, "Well, how the hell can you not understand what I understand? Maybe you should think that. I'm not saying I know everything, but I know that he was a fun guy to watch. But that's not got mixed up with styles of what we're fun to watch, what we enjoy watching, what makes us happy. What I used to say on ESPN when I was doing the fights at ringside, what was fan friendly style. Let's not get that mixed up. Let's not get that quality mixed up with the quality of how good a fighter is and how good he is technically and how you rate him in that way, pound for pound, as the best or not the best, or how high or not high, because there's a difference. Yeah, he was a strong guy. Yeah, he could punch pretty good. I thought he was overrated as a puncher, but yeah, he could punch good. Yeah, he was fun to watch. He was pleasing. He was aggressive. He won, and all that stuff. But yeah, he was also knocking out junior middleweights from Europe that had already lost at the next level. They couldn't win at the top level.
Right.
They already had lost and they were in their 34, 35, 36, 33 years old, where they were already eroding from what they were a little bit. And those are the guys that he was getting his notches on his belt like a gunslinger. He was getting, and again, I saw what he was doing, but I also saw the other part. I also saw the part that I had to see, being in the seat that I'm in, to have responsibility of pointing out certain things. So, people got all mad at me and everything. I dropped them down a little bit. And here's the difference with him and Canelo. When I had Canelo, and I thought he lost. And again, full transparency, I I thought that Triple G won those 2 fights with Canelo.
I
He
had the
won
first one for Triple G. The second one I had a draw.
Yeah, okay, fine. I have no problem with that. I had the first one for Triple G, which was the draw, and then of course the one that they gave to Canelo. I had Triple G winning it closer, but I had him winning it because of his jab. But anyway, that and I gave credit to Canelo what he did in that fight, the body punch and everything else, the uppercut, whatever. But the thing that separated the two of them for me was not just what they did in the ring, not what the judges said. I don't listen to the judges.
Right.
I know the fallacy of that. I know the problems with that. I ain't listening to those guys most of the time. But I saw what I saw. I saw that through this time, I saw Canelo, and sometimes you stagnate. You get to a point, like I said, Triple G was beating all these guys. Nobody really broke it down and separated what he was beating. They just knew that they were happy. He was aggressive. He was
a lot of knockouts.
That's all. That's all they saw. But I was looking further. I was looking at who he was beating, as I just said, how he was beating him. And then I looked at the difference when he moved up and fought a legitimate middleweight, like Danny Jacobs. I saw, hey, wait a minute. There's a little different result here, a little different here. And then at the end of the day, I looked at it all. I looked at him. I looked at Canelo. And I said, Teddy, you know what it is that's catching your eye? I know what it is. Canelo's continuing to get better.
And
Triple G never got better. And I think it's probably the trainers. You got trainers get paid. They get blamed. They also get credit. It's fair. Sometimes it's unfair, but it's usually fair. I mean, if you get the credit, you got to take the blame too. I didn't think Abel Sanchez, and a lot of people are afraid to say names. I'm not afraid to say it. I mean, he'll take shots to me if he wants to say something. I'd say, but I think it's got to be fair. You got to have a reason to say something. I just don't think that he was the teacher that it turned out that Canelo's people were. Reynoso, I think is the name of the trainer. For
Eddie
Canelo.
Reynoso, yep.
Yeah, he's done a good job. The guy, because again, the proof is in the pudding. The Canelo, for me, I'm looking at it. Canelo was getting better. I'm like having a conversation with myself. I'm saying, Teddy, this guy's getting better. Some of it's subtle, but inch by inch, moment by moment, step by step, he's getting a little better. Golovkin's not getting better. He's staying the same. And then all of a sudden he started going down because you get older.
Right.
You start going down. And I think he's gone down now because of the age and all that stuff. But I felt the big difference was Canelo, and the greatest compliment I can give him is that with all the success, with all the money, he continued to get better.
At 30 years old, getting better.
Yeah. And Golovkin didn't get better. He went all those years without improving one iota. That's the thing. That Canelo improved, and a guy like Golovkin didn't improve. And even now, you brought it up before with him fighting light heavyweight. He went up to light heavyweight and he beat Kovalev.
Right.
You continue to see the improvement. And all I can say is hats off, bravo, bravo, bravo to anybody that's been around a long time in any business, if they're a lawyer, if they're a doctor, and they have success, and they keep getting better. Congratulations to Canelo.
You know what? I'm lucky, and I'm going to say this. When I am dead and they're ready to put me in the ground, I now got the epitaph for my headstone. It's going to say, this guy did an interview with Teddy Atlas and sang a few bars of Louis Armstrong. That's what's going to be on my headstone. Thanks, my man. Great stuff, Teddy.
Bye,
Thank
Kevin.
you.